Overlord Volume 9 Chapter 3. Another Battle. Translated by Nigel. Edited, proofread by Deus Ex Machina. Part 1. The first Prince Barbaro Andrianildrile Vyself was furious as he led his men north, leaving behind the clamor of Irantel and the troops preparing to march out to the Cat's Plains. Damn it. That damn Marquis Raven. Barbaro could not hold back his cursing. During the demonic disturbance, his younger brother had borrowed Raven's men to patrol the city and maintain order, giving the nobles the impression that he was willing and able to step into the fray. As a result, the nobles who had originally supported the first Prince Barbaro were beginning to have second thoughts. Now that Marquis Raven had thrown his support behind the second prince, some of those nobles had jumped ship to his side as well. Not moving out during the demonic disturbance had been a fatal mistake. Barbaro had not stepped onto the front line and stayed in the royal palace because he had no men of his own. It had been the right thing to do. What good could just one man do by himself on the front line? He would simply get in others' way. Besides, the demons might have attacked the royal palace too. Without Marquis Raven's men, his younger brother would not have been able to maintain order either. Barbaro believed that he had made the right choice. However, those fools did not understand it and had been deceived by appearances. In the end, they had all played into Marquis Raven's hands. Could it be that none of them had any idea what he was plotting? Besides, they were just patrolling. They didn't even fight any demons, no. If his younger brother had fought, he would surely have made a fool of himself. When one thought about that, one could tell how smart Marquis Raven was. There was also one more thing that displeased Barbaro. That was the fact that he was on his way to the insignificant little settlement of Kugane village. He had fallen behind in the struggle for the succession. That was why Barbaro had to distinguish himself as the first prince during this battle with the Empire. He had to regain the fame his younger brother had stolen in order to let everyone know that he was the best choice to inherit the kingdom. Thus, this battle was very important to him. Yet he had been given orders which had him running around on the useless errand like some lackey. What prestige was there in investigating the link between a frontier village and Ainzuelgaon? In that moment, the chill ran down Barbaro's spine. Could it be that this had been done to keep Barbaro from achieving anything? His father had long since made up his mind to give the throne to his younger brother. And he did not want to let Barbaro make any accomplishments to turn the tables, so he sent him on to this tiny little hamlet. Barbaro's breathing grew chaotic. His heart burned with hatred for his father, who was looking down on him, the first prince, and wanted to give the throne to his younger brother for showing just a tiny bit of courage. The fact that he noticed a horse drawing up to him as frustration blinkered his eyes was purely coincidence. "My prince, are you unwell? Shall I call over a priest?" The shrill voice at close range echoed loudly and seemed to claw directly at his brain, and it even making him want to throw up. However, he overcame it. It was fortunate that the cool air of winter helped soothe him, and that growing up in the royal household had trained him to keep up appearances. Only a fool would reveal his inner feelings. No, pay it no heed. I was simply thinking about how to handle the task father gave me." "Enough of that. Baron Cheniko, didn't you visit the adamantite-ranked adventurer Mon? What happened?" "Oh, you must hear me, my prince. A deeply upsetting thing happened." "Right, Mon was not in, and I did not meet him." "Well, that was just bad luck. After all, he is an adamantite-ranked adventurer. So why are you so angry? You didn't make an appointment, so it couldn't be helped that he wasn't in." "No, it's not because of that. It was Mon's companion who displeased me, that Nabe woman." "Nabe? The beautiful princess." Barbaro recalled the ravishing beauty he had seen in the royal capital, so fair that she could compare with his little sister. Barbaro desired her, but she was the companion of an adventurer whom his father had favored, so he could not just do whatever he wanted to her like she was a commoner. "And what did that beauty do to you?" She raised her hand against me. "Please look, my prince. Baron Cheniko removed his gauntlet, revealing a large bruise. What? Even an adamantite-ranked adventurer can't commit violence upon a noble. But that knave woman suddenly grabbed my hand and chased me out. There was far too little information to act on, and Barbaro did not wish to ask any further. That was because he kept thinking that there was some reason behind it which had been hidden. My prince, I beseech you to severely punish that foolish woman for harming me. If he used that as leverage, could he not do as he wished to that woman? Barbaro considered it. He thought about whether there was a way for him to help the Baron and take Nabe for himself, but he could not think of anything. This Baron was an utter idiot, and he might think that he was doing the prince a favor. What a useless man. Well, I'll guess I can buddy up to him for now, but once I take the throne, he'll be the first one that I'll discard. Before that, I'll make good use of him. Barbaro was already plotting how things would go, but at the same time he was somewhat depressed by the fact that someone like him had his own fief and vassals, the ability to wage war without having to rely on anyone else, while he had no sworn soldiers. As the Baron looked at him with anticipation-filled eyes, Barbaro waved him away. When I become king, I will consider it. Thank you, my prince. Barbaro no longer wished to speak to this bowing buffoon any longer, so he asked a question of one of the knights under Marquis Bolorobe. He was the commander of the Marquis elite troops. Oh, I have a question. What is it, your highness? In truth, he did not actually have anything to ask, but he could not say he no longer wanted to speak to the Baron, so he was simply looking for an excuse. He paused to think for a moment, and come up with a suitable question, whereupon that hateful notion from just now appeared in his mind again. It was Marquis Bolorobe's idea to send Barbaro to this pioneer village, which meant, could it be that the Count's turned on me? Has he switched sides to my brother? He wanted to deny that possibility. Barbaro was wed to the Marquis' daughter, and he had been a good son-in-law all this time. Once Barbaro took the throne, he would become the leader of the 6 great nobles. Choosing to support his younger brother now would only lead to conflict with Marquis Raven. But what other reason could there be? If that's true, then is the fact that I've been sent to this pissant village to tell all the other nobles that I can't contribute much to the war? What's wrong? Do you need a rest? Shut up. No matter how hard he tried, he could not keep the malice from escaping him. He saw that the knight was startled, but he still could not bear it. As the murderous intent leaked from between his teeth, Barbaro ordered, I command you to swiftly conclude the matter of Kugane village while making ready to proceed to the Cat's Plains at the same time. Once we reach Kugane village, we will promptly complete our objective and leave, and I think we will be able to reach Irantel by nightfall. After that, we'll rest for the night and then make haste for the Cat's Plains at sunrise. The knight frowned. With all due respect, I feel that is very difficult. Please have a look, your highness. Our formation comprises 3,500 men from the Marquis and 1,500 men from the various nobles who have lent their support. In order to swiftly complete our mission, we have reduced our composition of supply troops, replacing them with 50 cargo wagons. I know that. What's the problem? Our formation has 4,500 infantry and 500 cavalry. Even if we complete our business in Kugane village within an hour, returning to Irantel by nightfall will be quite a rush. Which is why I was asking. I'll say it again. Is there a problem? If there is none, why can't you do it? My prince, the infantry may end up being exhausted to the point of collapse. It seems you've gotten the wrong idea, haven't you? Ultimately, there's no value in going to a pitiful little village like that. What we need to do is proceed to the Cat's Plains and defeat the Empire. Aren't you the Marquis, man? In that case, let me ask you this. Is this battle easy enough that they can afford to have 5,000 men gallivanting around the countryside? Do you think so? The knight's mouth tightened into a straight line. Get your priorities straight. The men will be tired, you say? Then lash them to make them run. After all, you were all gathered here to do battle on the Cat's Plains. and to build my reputation. It is as your highness says. I understand. The knight bowed his head in acknowledgement. You should have answered like that from the beginning. Go plan when we can arrive at Irantel and when we can set forth. I'll leave the details to you. Yes, I shall quickly discuss the matter and return with the answer you seek, your highness. By the time the knight spurred his horse toward his comrades, Barbaro had long since put him out of his mind. Does my father hate me? Or has he gone senile and can't think straight anymore? So that's why he wanted to give the throne to my younger brother. It's only proper that the eldest sibling should inherit. Otherwise won't that offend the nobles? He swore to recover from the dire straits he was in, and make them regret giving him 5,000 men to command. It was this determination that drove Barbaro. Baron. Yes, my lord. Don't disappoint me. The Baron seemed to have replied in a shrill voice, but it went in one ear and out the other for Barbaro. Damn you, Zanak. Go gaze at your navel in the royal capital. While they were related by blood, he was also an adversary in the race for the succession and thus had to be bumped off. He would not insist on killing him, but if he got in the way, he would not mind giving the order to do so. Once I ascend to the throne, what can I do with him? Should I kill him, so those stupid nobles can't rally around him in revolt? Or would that be a waste? If he were a woman, he'd have many uses. My sister, Renner, might be stupid, but she has a pretty face. I'll sell her off to the highest bidder. It'll be troublesome to have a branch family bearing royal blood, so ideally I'd marry her off to the royalty of some distant kingdom. Although, if she could be useful and serve as the foundation for my power, well, I could consider that. As he imagined the ideal future of the Riesti's kingdom he would found, Barbaro absent-mindedly narrowed his eyes. He saw himself seated on the throne, with the massed nobles bowing respectfully to him. He saw his vassals scurrying to carry out the orders which he gave. Wouldn't it be wonderful? He smiled thinly, then quickly covered it up. After promptly finishing their mission in Kugane village, could they rush over to the Cat's Plains quickly? Barbaro felt that was what would determine if his dream would become reality or remain a fantasy. Assuming the soldiers can be forced to march, the most important thing would be whether or not we made it in time for the battle, right? Or rather, should we quietly observe the battle and act as ambushers? He felt that it was a clever plan, but he was not confident that he could skillfully use his troops to attack the enemy in the flank or rear while they were unaware of him. He very much wanted to let the knights handle this, but this battle was a chance to demonstrate his worthiness of the throne, so letting others arrange things was not a good idea. What should he do to get the most impressive results and secure the throne for himself? As Barbaro thought, an idea suddenly came to him. Would it be possible to use the people of Kugane village to negotiate with Ainzuelgaon? It was as though a shaft of blinding light had fallen from the heavens to illuminate him. Truly, that was a masterful move. Whatever reason Ainzuelgaon had for saving Kugane village, their existence ought to be collateral for negotiation. If this magic caster Ainzuelgaon that nobody had heard of before backed out of the war, the Baharuth Empire would lose their justification and would probably withdraw their troops to avoid being labeled as invaders. And if it turned out that it was Barbaro's actions which made the Empire withdraw, would that not be an amazing thing? Father will no longer be able to take me lightly, and my accession would be guaranteed. Good. Very good. If it turned out that Ainzuelgaon had simply helped them in passing, then he might not withdraw his forces. In that case, all he would have to do was force the people of Kugane village to take up arms. People from all over the country were being mobilized for this. The peasants of Kugane village had no right to refuse. Father seemed to have exempted the people of Kugane village from conscriptions, but now the situation was different. It was up to the commander Barbaro, under these circumstances, to deal things as they came up. If Ainzuelgaon killed the farmers of Kugane village, then it could be used as a form of propaganda too. They could lambaste him as a petty villain. Propaganda like that ought to be effective against his backers, the Empire, as well. Barbaro shivered at the sheer perfection of his plan. In all honesty, he had thought that he was dumber than his younger siblings, but now that was hard to say. The fact that such wisdom slept within his mind thrilled Barbaro.